The smallest things make the biggest impact. It starts with things as simple as just the posture of what they're doing. It's not going to get the most expensive gym membership. It's not getting the latest and greatest supplement, but it's truly creating a program that you can sustain and stay consistent with. Focus on the posture, focus on the technique, and then build you up from there so you'll know what it feels like. It's all about really creating that mind-body connection and understanding what proper technique, proper posture feels like. Then seeing how the strength develops with that proper posture. The number one piece of advice, keep it simple. Everybody's valuable, man. These bodies are meant for the long haul. And it's up to us to continuously keep that value and keep pushing, man. Losing weight is hard, but maintaining is even harder. Getting strong is hard, but maintaining the strength is even harder. Learning how to get to where you want to go, but also learning the techniques to maintain are what I specialize in.
Hey, fitness and health fans, it's game on with another episode of the Sporting Good Posture Podcast. Get Coach Marghella's advice from the sidelines as he helps you crush your game, no matter what health or fitness game you play.
Hey, I'm Coach Marghella. I'm sporting good posture. What are you sporting?
Hey, Coach Marghella, what's your advice today?
Welcome back to another episode of Sporting Good Posture. This is Coach Marghella here, and today we have Judah on the line, and we're going to be going over the posture of working out. I've been friends with Judah for a while, and he has his own fitness center. And I just wanted to introduce you today and say thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Frank, the Punisher, as we call you.
That's right, man. I love that. So you've been doing this for a long time and just recently went out on your own. And tell me a little bit about your experience with personal training and just a little bit of background about you.
Well, I've been personal training now for 13 years. And just over time, I've been able to experience some awesome people and pick up a lot of tips along the way to kind of just refine what it is that a personal trainer truly is. So what I'm doing now, I've taken a total 180 approach to just the style of training that I do. And I'm based on simplicity now. The goal is to really get in with my clients and make them think simply about the things that they want to do. And it starts with things as simple as just the posture of what they're doing. The smallest things make the biggest impact. And that's what I've learned over the last 13 years. So now with this new focus, I want to bring that to the forefront of all of the teachings that I do for all of my clients. And like I always tell them, I'm a personal trainer, but I also consider myself a teacher more so than anything else.
Yeah, and when you were talking last week, you told me about that, you know, you give people an hour of your time, whether it's for the whole time is working out, whether part of it's, you know, answering questions, doing meal plans, workouts, whatever it is, you know, you told me you give people the time. And I like that approach because it is very personalized and it's not just a cookie cutter, you know, one size fits all kind of thing. So I really admire that about the way you're going about this.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, I've just like with anybody who has tried to do something and be great at it. I mean, it just takes, you know, a couple bumps, a couple failures. You learn things along the way. And my goal now is to take all those things that I've learned along the way and just actually make it as simple as possible. Because I'm telling you, I'm just going to keep saying the word simplicity, simple, basic, because that's what it is all about. I mean, it's not going to get the most expensive gym membership. It's not getting the latest and greatest supplement online, but it's truly creating a program that you can sustain and stay consistent with. And I mean, with my help as your consultant, as I like to call myself, I can continuously add and, you know, enhance that program to fit the criteria that you're looking for. So it's all about success.
I think people get scared when they try to start a workout program or get back into fitness, that it's not going to be simple, that it's going to be this whole complex thing. And sometimes it puts people off for even starting it back up again. So I like that you're able to break that down. So going back to, you know, just you talked about posture before. What do you instill in the people that you train about posture? Like, what are some of the main points that you go over with them about that?
Well, first off, I'm going to pull a little bit from Dr. Frank's podcast. one of your podcasts that you had I forgot what his name was. He was talking about watching people walk. And I mean, I do this all the time as well. And as I listen to that podcast, he's like, man, I can look at somebody, the way that they're walking, I can tell what the problem is. And from that point, just correct it. And I've noticed myself doing that as well, because a lot of people, they tell me, hey, I can't get stronger in my bench press. I can't get stronger in this. I can't get stronger in that. Well, it's basically technique on everything. I mean, some people just go in the gym and put way too much weight on things instead of starting from the basics. So posture makes it's our first stepping stone to building what we're trying to build. I mean, I'll strip you all the way down to the bar. Focus on the posture, focus on the technique, and then build you up from there so you'll know what it feels like. And doing that with especially young athletes, oh man, it has, made a world of difference. And as well as old seasoned veterans as we are.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes we've just been lifting wrong our whole lives,
I completely agree with you, man. If you go back, like I remember, in high school, you usually play football, and that's your first introduction to the weight room. And I remember the coaches in there, telling us, to bounce the weights off your chest and get that momentum. And dude, I ended up, having rotator cuff problems after that. I have a partially torn rotator cuff years ago, and some injuries that happened because I was lifting wrong, and even some back problems because of it. Actually, that was the reason I started seeing a chiropractor in high school. I was lifting wrong, and I didn't have the right form, and I started hurting myself at 16, 17 years old. And I'm like, man, I can't live like this, and this is not. And I started getting a lot of pain in my shoulders and my arms, not just soreness from workouts, but actual like injuries. And I knew I was doing something wrong, and it wasn't until really I got into high school and then into college and then going to chiropractic school where I learned how to actually do that better. What do you find the most is the problem with people's lifting techniques? What do you see that's the most, improper form?
I've always told my young athletes and even my older clients, we don't challenge lift. That is the biggest problem out there. And that creates bad form. When I bet you I can lift more than you. And now your number one goal is to put that weight up. Yep. And as well as I do, one small tweak the wrong way, there goes that back. And
yep.
As we get older, we can't take those, I call them Russian roulette chances. We can't take those chances nowadays because at the age of 35, man, it's harder to recover from those. What used to be a 2-week injury and recovery, now it's a 6-month recovery. And, we just don't have that kind of time to waste. So,
yep.
That's mostly where most of it starts. And also, we've grown up in that society of,
bigger is better.
Yeah, you the more you live, the better you are, the more respect that you're given. But I think at this day and age, it's all about, man, understanding your body, really creating that mind-body connection and understanding what proper technique feels like, proper posture feels like, and then seeing how the strength develops with that proper posture.
That's very true, because you're seeing a lot of these workout programs where years ago we would just pound the weights and that's it. Throw up as much weight as we could on the squat rack, on the bench press, on the leg press, and that's all we did. And now I've seen people mix in a lot of other different workouts and techniques that aren't always just about throwing up the weights. And I'm sure that you've done that with your clients too.
Oh, of course I have. And it's kind of spawned my new direction in general for myself because, as you know, I've competed in bodybuilding, I've done powerlifting, and I've been known as, the strong guy with the big muscles. That's who I've been known as a trainer. And I've just noticed over the years by me trying to keep up, that persona and lifting those heavier weights, man, it's just the small little nagging injuries that continuously plague me. Today it's an elbow, tomorrow it's a knee, a neck pain, and it gets nerve-wracking after a while. So I want to bring a new brand and just a realness to what it means to lift and lift with mobility. And it just starts, the basic thing, the posture, starts with that.
I do that too. I watch people, the way they walk. I even use an app when we have a new patient come in that takes pictures of their posture. We do foot scans with people. The whole idea is getting a blueprint of what the body's doing. And if there is imbalance, finding where it is and, helping to prevent you starting a workout program where you know you're going to get injured. And most people come in pre-injured. They have old injuries that, maybe from high school that are still lingering that are going to cause them to have imbalances, improper technique, all that stuff. And I'm sure that you see that and try to coach people on, better ways to do it and also injury prevention as well.
Definitely. And that's why right now my focus is a small studio. I want to take people in one at a time or even two at a time and really, really sit down, talk with them and watch their form. Over the years, I've come from training groups as big as 30 to 40 people at one time. And now with this new approach, my goal now is to pull these people in one at a time or maybe two at a time and really, really give a good tutorial on the importance of proper technique, the importance of the things that would normally be overlooked. Because think about it, when we train for sports, you were in a room with all your teammates.
Yeah.
And coach would say, all right, clean and jerk today. Let's go. And everybody would load bars up and just go clean and jerk. And who was walking around going, no, keep your chest up. No, squeeze that. No, do that. Nobody was telling you that.
You're right. And there wasn't enough people around to do that.
Exactly. So I think right now, getting back into my passion, and I really want to take that one-on-one time because I think that time is priceless. Because it's going to create so many dividends on the back end, especially the strength development in those younger athletes, as well as the strength maintenance for our older clients. So I'm just excited to just jump in and be that person that says, nope, do it this way. I don't care about weight. Just do it this way.
So, Judah, does this type of training techniques that you're teaching, is that applied more to guys like me and you who, lifted heavy, and done, the powerlifting over the years? Or is it more for, just really anybody that walks in your studio?
Well, that's a great question because I get that question a lot from, some of my older female clients. Because here's the thing, my number one demographic by numbers is soccer moms.
There you go.
And my techniques just resonate well with them because they've never been coached up before. And they love the fact of, okay, I'm doing something that I see my coworkers talk about or the people in my church group talk about, and they feel like they're right there in the middle of it. And I told you one of my oldest clients was 86, and he loves adopting some of these philosophies because when you do things with a good posture, you'll be surprised how much more control of the weight or how much control of the overall just force of what you're doing, how much control you have. So, this is basically for anybody looking to just enhance what they already know or what they're trying to build.
That's a great answer, man. Thank you for clarifying that. Because, at my office, I know I have a variety of people that come in. I have people that just, come in, they binge watch Netflix and come in as a patient. I have people that come in that are, soccer moms or people that are more elite athletes. So I have a whole variety. And I know the people that listen to this are a big variety of people. So I'm glad you clarified that. The biggest thing is that posture applies to everyone. And when you do that the right way, and whether it's training, whether it's, the way you sit, the way you sleep, the way you stand, all this adds up so that you have proper form and technique. And the outcome then is less injuries, more production if it's for sports, and less chance of those injuries to repeatedly happen over the years. So I'm glad that you address that with people. Honestly, we do that in the office here because that's the foundation of everything that we do. And
another thing was the reason that I was so about just working with you is because I've really had a time speaking the language of, between a chiropractor and a personal trainer, or a physical therapist and a personal trainer. Our languages just get skewed sometimes. And what I've noticed in my career is a lot of people having these injuries that they've already had. So they go to physical therapy and they don't understand what physical therapy is meant for. Physical therapy is meant for to get you back to zero. And now this guy with this torn, surgically repairing rotator cuff, he's torn a rotator, he's got a surgically repaired rotator cuff. He goes through physical therapy, scores high scores with physical therapy, and guess what they go? All right, man.
You're ready.
And what he doesn't realize, in physical therapy, they got him back to normal. But it's up to now the personal trainer to build that muscle to make sure that surgically repaired shoulder not only works in his favor, but continuously helps him progress. And I think a lot of guys, where we get to a point where, oh man, I'm good, man. I can go back to normal. I can go back to doing what I'm doing. Well, that's what got you hurt in the first place.
Exactly.
Why not go and get, proper tips from somebody who understands how to build that muscle so that we can use the preventative care to not only help you get better, but to keep you safe from, for the next couple years.
I think that's where people don't realize that if you get a surgery, surgery will change you forever. It's not going to be the same after that surgery. We see these athletes, and they're elite athletes. They'll go out and get a surgery and might play a game a week or two later, but that's not normal. They don't realize, the common people don't realize what goes into that if they're doing that. A lot of these guys are jacked up on pain meds or pain injections in those areas, and they're playing and hoping that thing doesn't tear again because they just need to get out there and get paid for that game, and they're not really putting their well-being, ahead of them. They're just trying to play. So the average person definitely can't do that. An average person tears their ACL or gets a shoulder surgery, they're not going back to, to doing that stuff for a long, long time, maybe even ever. Whereas we see these athletes do that and they get these surgeries. Oh, no big deal. He's, ACL will be back next year, or 9 months or 6 months, whatever it is. Shoulder, he'll be back in 6 months. For the common people, that's not how it works. And we don't have those people around us to get us back to zero, but then also get us back to that upper level that we were at before that injury. So that's a really good point, man.
And the other piece of it is just the mentality of it all, because yes, having your proper technique, your posture, once you get back into the game and you're working, but it's that mentality side of it, of saying, I'm confident because I know that my technique is spot on. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, once you get hurt doing something, you always have that fear, and it kind of it piggybacks on what you were just saying. You're never the same athlete. You're talking to somebody who tore their Achilles tendon. I mean,
oh, you did? I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's a bad injury.
I would rather break my ankle. And I heard another one of your podcasts. You were talking about the most common injuries of people over the age of 30 are your Achilles tendon, your shoulder, rotator cuffs. And, what I've been noticing now, because I'm really heavy into the bodybuilding community, man, people are tearing those bicep tendons big time.
Yeah.
And once you do that, I mean, your mentality has changed. And as a coach, I've noticed that not only can I teach that proper technique in that proper form, but giving them the understanding of saying, all right, come on, let's do it. Let's get it going. Like, bypass that mental block, because if you play hurt, you're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. And that's what every coach will tell you. If you get hurt and you go out back on the field and you play and start favoring whatever you hurt, you're going to get hurt again. So that mentality is a big piece of it that I think people tend to overlook as well. That's why I'm all about being provoked. Like, that's my thing, being provoked, man, having a mission and getting it done, So.
And that's another good point, because when people have those injuries, like a bicep tendon, that's going to happen, a shoulder, rotator cuff injury, that directly goes to posture. And if you think about what people do when they bodybuild, or guys that are younger, what do they usually build? The mirror muscles, right? Everything you see in the front. So they're doing bicep curls, they're doing chest, they're doing quads, they're doing, abs, they're doing all that. They forget about the backside, and you see them, not developing their rhomboids, their back muscles, their lats, their hamstrings, their calves, because they don't see that in the mirror. So that's not what they're worried about. And then they get that rounded, posture where their arms are sticking out and they're too rounded forward. And that's exactly why they tear those tendons and those ligaments, because it's poor posture and bad form on their workouts.
Exactly. And that was one of those things that when I people watch and I have a buddy that goes, man, that guy's big. I'm like, yeah, but he ain't as strong as he can be. I guarantee. He's like, how could you say that? And I'm like, well, if I can see the backs of his hands while he's walking towards me, that's a sign that his anterior deltoids are the strongest things on his body, and his posterior deltoids are not pulling him back into an erect position. So when you pull forward like that, I mean, you do too much bench press. That's all it tells me. You're doing way too many bench press and mirror muscles. You're not working on everything from core to just your posterior deltoids, because those are what keep you up high. Those in your trap. So, I mean, most bodybuilders walk. That's why they always joke on bodybuilders, because bodybuilders walk with their chest up like this. Is because as a bodybuilder, you have to target each individual muscle to bring out the total package of the physique. So, yeah, you're going to have overly developed posterior deltoids. So you're going to sit like this. Your traps are going. So, but I mean, it's just, it goes with the territory. But a lot of guys, I mean, when you're working on designer muscles, I mean, you might miss something. And that one miss of a muscle group could be the difference between you maximizing and you getting hurt. So I think, bringing that knowledge into the fold when I'm, teaching and coaching those techniques is huge.
Yeah, very true, man. Very true. So Judah, as far as, the people that you have come in, besides, I know you have some elite athletes, some bodybuilders and everything. What about, the average Joes, the soccer moms, like you mentioned before? What's some advice that you have for those kind of people out there?
The number one piece of advice, keep it simple. Always start at your basics. If there's something that you feel as though needs improving within your program, or if you don't even have a program yet and you're kind of searching to develop one, start off as basic as possible. And remember, our bodies are, we're like cars, man. And the work that we put into it and the tuning up that we do, we changing the oil, we keep those cars' value very, very high. I always call myself, I'm a 1985 Porsche. And when I keep the oil change and I keep it tuned up and I keep everything going in mint condition, my value remains high. And a lot of people don't realize that, I'm old. No, you just need to get your oil change. You just need to get a nice tune up and do things the right way and restore that value. Everybody's valuable, man. These bodies are meant for the long haul. And it's up to us to continuously keep that value and, keep pushing, man. Some people are meant to go in fifth gear. Those are my pro athletes. They go in fifth gear all the time. Some people who just walk around the neighborhood, they like life driving in second gear. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's totally fine. But at the end of the day, the value of our bodies should be cherished. And, we have to take care of them. And it's the simple things that make the biggest difference moving forward.
Man, I couldn't have said it better. That's so true. And I've gone over that a bunch of times, not only with my patients, but on the podcast here. I had an episode a few weeks ago where I talked about how my lawn had burned and that I got behind on watering it and doing the maintenance that was necessary to keep it looking green and keep it healthy. And the body's the same way. And the car's the same way. I mean, you can relate it to a lot of things. I had somebody at my house talking about, the AC unit, and in the summer it's getting overworked. So it's really important to change the filters out and do those kind of things and have the maintenance done on that. It's just anything you have, you got to make sure you're doing the maintenance on it and the upkeep, because, the good thing is we're like a car, but unlike a car, we can't change out the parts very easily without screwing up the rest of it. Exactly. So it's hard to find those kind of parts for your body. And when you don't take care of it and surgery is your option, then like you said, it's never the same. And it's important to try to keep what you have and keep it working good and in good alignment so that you have the posture and the technique and, the ability to stay injury free and enjoy working out and enjoy your life and stay healthy.
And that's another cool thing about my studio that I built. I try my best to keep it as basic as possible, man. My favorite piece of equipment in my studio is my TRX strap. That suspension strap.
Oh, I love those things, man.
Oh, my goodness, man. Just from everything from stretching, mobility to strength training, you can do it all from there. And I mean, that's the most basic piece of exercise equipment that you can get in your home gym, or even they have them at big gyms now. And it's amazing how people run over to a machine before they go over to a basic thing like a TRX strap. So yeah, I'm really focused on putting everything in my studio that you could incorporate at your own home and keeping it simple. And I'm so excited about, doing my demos when I'm explaining, how this TRX move can improve your posture as well as build some of those muscles that help stabilize the core and, just make you that much more efficient. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, man. Speaking of TRX, that over the last few years, that's what I've gotten more into. I didn't even know what that was a few years ago. And honestly, now it's one of my favorite things to use because it really works your core on all the things that you're working out, no matter what body part you're doing. And it's really so important for form on that. Otherwise, you won't be able to actually lift yourself up or do any of those workouts because without that form on the TRX, it just won't work right. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a huge thing, and that's getting more popular now rather than just throwing weights around. The TRX is really hard just with the body weight.
And you know it. I've always been told. I had a bad lifting injury in high school. I had a lower lumbar sprain. I didn't even know you could sprain your back. But the doctor told me one thing after he gave me all these weird cat stretches and cow stretches. He told me that your core is your natural back brace. He said to alleviate pain and make sure that your back is good for the next 20 years, that core has to be a focus of every piece of my strength training. And that has stuck with me since I was 18 years old. And here I am still being able to be efficient and productive at 34. So that core, you have to keep it strong because that's what's going to keep that back intact. So,
and that's why in our office we even have a total body vibration machine, because we want to work the core. We want to work all those muscles because most people are sitting and they lose that core strength. And they lose that core strength if they've had, if they've had kids and maybe they had a C-section or they have a job where they're sitting a lot. That's the kind of strength you lose, and it's hard to get it back. But that's one of the things we focus on, especially like with our lipo laser program. We help people get their core back. With our chiropractic program, we help them work on that core because it is vital to your back health. So you got a lot of things going here. So how can people get in touch with you, if they're looking to either get some advice or even train with you or start doing things that can move them in the direction they're looking for? How can they get a hold of you? And
well, I do a lot through Instagram. It's my name, Judah, Judah, .P as in Paul, my last name, Lando, Lando, Judah.P.Lando on Instagram. And from there, they can direct message me. And they'll also have links to most of my YouTube postings of, me demonstrating moves that they can actually incorporate into their lifestyle. So
awesome, man. Thank you for that. And when are you going to be, doing that grand opening? When are you going to do that?
Well, I got a couple more finishing touches that I want to get done, and it should be in the next, month, within the next month. So I'm excited about that. But I also, like, here in the Nashville area, I do house calls. I meet people in gyms, and the most important piece of it is us sitting down, getting a good understanding of what it is that the client needs. When I learn more about you, now I can kind of structure what exactly it is that you're looking. Because sometimes you think that you need to lose weight, but sometimes it could be something else. You know, you have knee pains, you have this, and it could be small little fixes, but it's me getting to know you and getting to understand what it is that you want in a program. And then, you know, me showing you some of the things and putting together a workout, showing you what you can do, and just really teaching you how to maintain. Like I tell people, losing weight is hard, but maintaining is even harder. Getting strong is hard, but maintaining the strength is even harder. So learning how to get to where you want to go, but also learning the techniques to maintain are what I specialize in. So
great advice. Thank you again. And I look forward to working with you, you know, in the future, and definitely we'll get you a superhero picture coming up here and get you going on.
Don't you go get me excited now, man. Come on. Don't get me excited.
So Judah, thank you again for joining us, and listen to your body. You know, it really is a high piece of equipment, and if you take care of it, it will take care of you, and you'll be happy and healthier throughout your life. And again, if you see any of these imbalances, you know, if you go back to some of my previous episodes, we talk about how to see those imbalances, because if you are going to start any kind of workout program, you just want to know where you're at health-wise, posture-wise, structurally, and everything to make sure that you're able to do these kind of things, you know, with Judah or anything that you're starting. Because if you don't have a good foundation on your body, if you don't have proper posture, if you don't have good core strength, you're just setting yourself up for injuries. And like I've said in the past, when you look, you know, in the mirror, if you just feel like your body's just not quite where it should be, if you're a little bit misaligned, you know, if one shoulder's higher than the other, if your head's kind of tilted, if you feel like your hips are off, you know, if your feet or knees are turning in, something's imbalanced, and it's really important to get checked out so that you know exactly where you are, so that you know what to do to fix it. You know, we see these things all the time, and if you're dealing with that, there is a way, no matter what your age, there is a way to help get you back on track to better health. And it's really important just to know where you're starting at, so that you're not just throwing spaghetti on the wall. You got to know what to actually do. When you find the cause of the problem, you can truly fix it. And please reach out to me if there's something going on and you had a question. You know, reach out to me. You know, Instagram, DM me at Sporting Good Posture, and on Facebook at Ideal Health and Wellness Center. Tell me what's going on, and I'll tell you what I think. It's really important to know where you're getting started from, so that you know what direction to go. Remember, the coach's door is always open. This is Coach Marghella. I'm Sporting Good Posture. How about you?
The Sporting Good Posture podcast is a broadcast wellness production powered by Ideal Health and Wellness Center. All content copyright 2019, all rights reserved. Executive producer, Frank Sardella. Dr. Marghella appears courtesy of Ideal Health and Wellness Center in Cool Springs. For more information, visit sportinggoodposture.com or follow Coach on Instagram at sportinggoodposture.
Look, I drove around in Lyft today. Everybody who got in my car, they was like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" I'm listening to the coach. Sit back and I got you, man.